Hey everyone, welcome or welcome back to the channel. And today what we're going to go over is the Crochet Bind Off. As you can see here, it gives you a very neat and professional looking bind off with that chain-like feature that you see here. It's very similar to the traditional bind off. So if you know how to do that, you're one step ahead of the game. But you do not need to know how to crochet in order to do this bind off. So if you struggle with your stitches falling off when you bind off, or your bind off being too tight, this is the perfect alternative for you because you won't be struggling with that any longer. So the materials that you'll need for this particular tutorial are as follows. You will need your project, of course. I'm going to be working on this swatch that I did for the checkerboard tutorial, so I will include that here. So if you wanted to check that out, you will need a crochet hook, of course. And the crochet hook, if you're wondering what crochet hook you'll need, just go with whatever needle size you use for your project. So this happens to be a 5mm needle, so I'm going to use a 5mm crochet hook. You will need a darning needle, and you will need a pair of scissors. So grab those 4 things, come on back, and you'll get to learn how to do the crochet bind off. Okay, so now that you've grabbed all your materials, we are ready to begin. So like I stated in the introduction, this is very similar to the traditional bind off. So what you'll need to do is have your project in your left hand. I'm a right-handed knitter, so my project is going to be in my left hand, okay? So let's scoot everything forward here. All right. So we're going to pretend like the crochet hook is your needle, okay? So let's go in. And just like with the regular bind off, you are going to knit your first stitch, but we're going to use the crochet hook as if it is your needle. So we're going to yarn over and knit onto the crochet hook, okay? Then you're going to do the same thing in step 2. You're going to knit your next stitch right onto that crochet hook. But you're not going to, like in the traditional bind off, where you would take this stitch and bring it over top of this first stitch. You're not going to do that. What you're going to do is, while these 2 stitches are on your crochet hook, you're going to do this motion. You're going to slide down, hook this first stitch, turn over, and through the first stitch. That's all. And take your time when you're doing this, because again, if you're not a crocheter, this is going to be a different way to use your hands, different mechanics, but it's very easy. And you see how I'm holding down here just for control? You could try to do that as well. So let's do our next stitch. So go in as if to knit, yarn over, and knit your next stitch onto your crochet hook. So you should always have 2 on your crochet hook. Hold here for control if you need to. Hook that first stitch, and this is why I think it's so much easier to do it this way if you're having trouble with your stitches falling off, because you have some element of control when you're hooking your stitches. Hook onto the first, turn, and through the stitch. Okay, let's go on to the third. Go in as if to knit, yarn over, knit onto the crochet hook. Just going to go a little bit faster. Hook, turn, under. Okay. So you can remember that cadence. Hook, turn over. Go in as if to knit. Okay. Hook, turn through. Hook, turn through. I should say that, not hook, turn over. Let's go in. Yarn over as if to knit. Knit onto your crochet. Hook, hook, turn, and through. And you see how you're starting to have that nice chain there? Let's go in again. Go in, knit onto your crochet, hook, hook, turn, and through. And you're just going to follow that sequence all the way down the amount of stitches that you have on your particular project. So one more time just for the road, and I will meet you at your last stitch. So you're going to hook, turn, and through. Okay, so practice that and I'll meet you at your last stitch. Okay, so now we've come to our last stitch. And if you're wondering, if you're not a crocheter, now that you've practiced this, you just essentially learned how to do the single crochet stitch. So that's just a little fun fact to know as well. So we're at our last stitch. We're ready to take all the stitches off of our left hand needle. So we're going to go in for this last stitch. And just take your time. Yarn over, knit on to your crochet hook. So you're done with your needle. Then you're going to take that this stitch here, and through the loop. Okay, so now because you're at the end, you should only have one stitch on your crochet hook. Okay, just like you would do if you had needles. Okay, so now you are ready to use your scissors and just make it so that you have at least like 6 inches so you can weave in your ends. Doesn't have to be exact, but just make that cut. Make it in frame here. Make cut right here. Okay, so now you're ready to thread your needle, and this is how I finish off my work. So I'm going to thread my needle. I'm going to wrap the yarn around my needle like so, and then pinch right here. Okay, slide off, then take that little loop and thread it through the needle. Okay, and then pull out on the other side. All right, so once you've done that, you can go back to your work, and now you could just snake your needle through your last loop here. Now everything is secure, so you can take your crochet hook out, pull your needle through, and pull down. Okay, and now you're ready. You can keep your needle on, and you're ready to weave in your ends. So that is how you do the crochet bind off. You can use this on your sweater cuffs, your hat brims, your shawls, if you're using a regular bind off or a traditional bind off. So again, if you're having trouble with the stitches coming off or it's too tight, I would definitely recommend trying this technique. Lastly, what I wanted to say is if you wanted this to be a little bit more stretchier, let's say if it's for a hat brim or a cuff to a sweater, then maybe possibly just size up on the crochet hook. So in this instance, I'm using a 5mm crochet hook. I would maybe bump up to a 5.5. So that way this would be a lot more stretchier. So thank you for watching. And if you like these kind of videos and you find them helpful, please hit that subscribe button, like, follow, and share. And I will see you on the next tutorial.